Welcome, my friends, to the showdown between the dinos who shall be led by Jabba the Hutt atop his mighty mobility scooter. And today, guys, we're going to be facing off against the Warriors of Chaos who shall be helmed by Sartorial, the Dark Lord of the KFC Gods. Now, guys, we're going to be going in with a feral Dread Saurian, so I'm on a bit of a mission. I know the Dread Saurians aren't really the best, but I just want to make them work and I want to get some good wins with them. So we're going to be trying here in this matchup. And of course, the feral Dread Saurian is going to be getting some juicy heals from Jabba with his Apotheosis. Harmonic Convergence is pretty good for buffing him as well. And I think if there is going to be a use for the feral Dread Saurian, the feral one probably will be the best use because it's affordable. I mean, it's 2,300, so it's still very pricey, but nonetheless, I think it's probably the most cost-effective of all the variants. Now, on top of that, we have a couple groups of Temple Guard. So Temple Guard are going to be the anchor upon which the Dread Saurian stands. We're just going to stand on them. If giants and other big threats come in, we can basically fall back on top of those guys and get some good value. So 3 Temple Guard here, 2 groups of red-crested skinks to give some AP and poison in the front line, 2 groups of chameleons, which, again, a very good counter-skirmishing unit. You can see my opponent here, the Great King of the Dead, is going to be coming in here with Marauder Horsemen, and we're basically going to be screening him out with skinks to the best of our abilities. And that's really what they're good for. If you don't have these things, like Chaos can sometimes circle you with throwing axes, pick off your dinos, and it's really not a fun situation. 2 groups of cohorts in the back, just a buffer unit. I had 600 gold left. I was like, hey, let's get these guys. Let's hold it down and have some fun. And also, guys, we're going to be trying out, again, the Power Fist Croxagore. So the cohort of Waddle here, I feel like they're pretty good. They hit hard, they can beat down Chaos Infantry, and we'll see how they do against some of the bigger threats like Giants and things like that. But really, they're just a fun unit that I really enjoy using. So we're going to be trying those guys out, even if they're not the best choice. So we got them, and that is pretty much it for the army. And for my opponent, he's got 3 groups of Marauder Horsemen. And now this is something I've been seeing quite a bit against the Lizardmen, especially if you're expecting a feral Dread Saurian or a Dread Saurian in general. I think King knew I was going to bring one because, you know, I was maybe being a little bit sneaky about it. Who knows? But he does have 2 Chaos Giants, and they're actually a really good counter against the Dread Saurian. They can beat it down pretty effectively, especially 2 of them, and they're pretty good against other dinos like Croxagores and things like that. So I love this pick here. On top of that, he's got Chaos Warriors, he's got the Mirror Guard, a couple groups of I guess you could say buffed. I mean, they just cost less Chaos Spawn, so he's got 2 of those and a couple groups of Marauders in the wings. So yeah, some very interesting units on both sides. I mean, he's got the Chaos Spawn, I have the Power Fist Croxagores and a Dread Saurian. Things are about to get pretty wild. So right here, the skinks are doing some pretty good counter skirmishing. We are poking against the Chaos Warhounds with poison here. You can see those guys getting forced back. And we're also able to take out a couple models off these Marauder Horsemen. So basically, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just screening, just making sure they can't shoot at the high value targets for free. Granted, King did a really good job picking off 5 Temple Guard there, which, you know, makes a pretty big difference. But I do screen out, force them back, take them down to 37 models, and the Hounds are also getting punished a little bit. So in the meantime, we're going to be rotating our own army over to the right. So basically, I just want to kind of get over on the right here so I can get an optimal engagement. And it's going to force the rest of his army to run a little bit wider to kind of fully surround me. So I'm just trying to get in that juicy position. We'll see how that goes. In the meantime, Chameleon Skinks, that one's a little bit of a tongue twister if you try and say it too fast, but Chameleon Skinks are going to be shooting in, taking out more and more horsemen, forcing them back, which is great. This is like 1,800 gold that's being kind of pushed back by 1,200, so certainly very cost effective. Some of the doggies are going to be coming in, so the Chaos Poison Warhounds, but I do have my cohort nearby, so the cohort's going to be turning directions here. I will lose a couple of Chameleons, which is unfortunate, but the cohort should be able to force them back. And the Power Fist Croxagores thinking about coming over as well, but the throwing axes, again, will get a lot of damage on these guys, and I do realize that. So I pull them back in. I'm able to avoid most of the fire. Some damage still maybe makes contact, but really it's not much to write home about. So we are able to fend off the doggies, so Chaos Warhounds are fended back, and the Chameleons are also going to be pushing back against some Marauder Horsemen and some of these other troops. So definitely a very solid situation. Now the games have passed. The skirmishing phase is over here in this game, and you can see the frontline battle is pretty much going to be underway. So Temple Guard will be charging in, Warp Chickens coming in, Skinks are going to be pushing in against Chaos Warriors, but you can see at the last second, I do switch them to make sure that the Temple Guard will be attacking the Chaos Spawn. The Power Fist Croxagores get a little bit aggressive with those guys, but I wanted to get them on the Mirror Guard just to kind of punch out the more high value unit. And the Dread Saurian is going to be going in after the chicken. He wants some KFC, and we're going to see if he gets it. Looks like he had the chicken in his mouth there for a second, but he maybe didn't actually make contact. A little bit unfortunate. Shield of the Old Ones is going to be going down in this main fight here, you know, hitting my Croxagores, hitting all these other units, but the Croxagores have certainly overextended a little bit. They're kind of getting beaten down by the Giants now, and I thought maybe with Feral Dread Saurian support they would be okay, and a little bit of, you know, Temple Guard support, but even still, they're taking a lot of damage from those Giants, actually down to 10 models here, so I will be pulling them back in a second, as I will with the Dread Saurian, who is not in a good situation. So very good cast there, Final Transmutation coming in from the chicken. It does hit the Dread Saurian, it hits the cohort of Waddle, and it also hits the Temple Guard here, which is very unfortunate. I do respond with pretty good banishment. It is able to cleave through those Mirror Guard there, take out some of the models, but For the most part, I would say that he did a little bit better there with that final transmutation. Over on the flanks, it's going okay. Temple Guard are holding and grinding down the Chaos Spawn. Chaos Spawn are also probably taking decent damage from Skinks because they have very low melee defense at 28. The Feral Dread Saurian needs to fall back at this point. Chaos is a little bit ahead on the bounce of power with that really, really good final transmutation. But we're relatively secure on the flanks. Like, this battle's going okay. We have the cohort screening out his horsemen who really are not being cost effective right now. And the Dread Saurian's able to get some chewing, but even still, it's like, it's not great. The double giant is just so hard to deal with. So seeing that, I pull back the Feral Dread Saurian, and we got some KFC on our mind. So Jabba's going to be dropping a net on those giants to try and isolate this chicken. And the Dread Saurian having a little bit of trouble pushing past his royal thickness here. But nonetheless, he is going to be getting on Sartorial. And he gets some pretty good damage. Sartorial down to about 45%, which is good. Hounds are forced back, and Chameleons are back online, which is actually going to be one of the few tools I have to really be effective against these giants. So Warp Chicken here, just running for his life. The Dread Saurian has 60 speed against his 60, so they're pretty much the exact same speed. And the Power Fist Croc scores are actually doing good, despite having a very bad initial opening. They've now jumped onto some Chaos Warriors who are really just crumping all over these guys, and they're fighting back to back with Temple Guard, which is like the dream situation. So this battle going pretty well here. Chaos Spawn are down to 2 models. Mirror Guard are very beat up as well. And my Temple Guard are somewhat healthy. Jabba's just kind of hanging by, but those 2 giants are really going to be the biggest issue. I don't know if I have too many tools to deal with them aside from the Skink, so I really need to make sure to keep those guys alive. The Feral Dread Saurian is going to be feasting on some Chaos Spawn, which can't taste very good. A little bit of Chaos Corruption, I'm sure, does not go a long way. But nonetheless, he's going to be able to get some good damage. He has 750 weapon strength, so that's quite good. I mean, it still can punch through them. Chaos Warriors and other troops are coming in, but the Giants coming in, and yeah, the Giants are just a very sticky menace. I mean, they have crazy leadership. This Giant right now has 124, so the Feral Dread Saurian, I mean, one of the things you do pay for with their really expensive premium is their speed. They're very, very fast. They have 60 speed here, so they're going to be falling back, trying to kite this giant and potentially, isolate the other one. In the meantime, Jabba is going to be dropping Shield of the Old Ones. The Power Fist Croc scores are still going up to 52 kills. Not doing bad at all, but again, pretty big mistake in the beginning, sending those guys in to fight where the giants were, but I just figured kind of punching down the Mirror Guard would be good. But it's still, they're doing okay, all things considered. They have 5 models left. Jabba's helping out as well. The Feral Dread Saurian is doing a pretty good job of outmaneuvering the giants. I'm able to kind of hit and run. And a fat Ruination of Cities or Banishment is going to be going down from Jabba here. And is it going to make contact? A nice Banishment, able to tear through those forces, really just kind of crumping all over the Mirror Guard, down to 17 models, going through the Chaos Warriors. Man, that was a very, very fortunate cast. Now, as far as the balance of power goes, it's a little bit in the favor of Chaos, but it's certainly not one of those situations where it's unattainable. If the Dread Saurian here is able to get the chicken, that could be pretty big. 1200 HP, Dread Saurian has potential to chunk almost half of that, but somehow the Dread Saurian misses, which is really unfortunate, and the chicken is able to get away. So right now I use Jabba. Jabba is going to be attacking the chicken as well, and the Dread Saurian is going to be coming in for a rear punch, trying to get as much damage as I possibly can. 972, Dread Saurian does make contact and puts him down to 283 HP. Balance of power creeps back towards the middle for the first time in this battle, and the Dread Saurian is going to be pulling back. Skinks are falling back as well, just trying to kite this giant out, and now, man, we're really in a pit fight here. So Temple Guard are getting blitzed by everything. Horsemen are charging in, the chicken's in here. There is terror to be had, and the Feral Dread Saurian in the back is going to be going in to fight the giant here in a moment, although he really has some issues with mass. I feel like the Dread Saurians get stuck on a lot of things, which is a little bit unfortunate, but right now he's going to be fighting 2 giants, 5,000 HP against 6,000 here, and about 8 or 9,000 on the other one, so certainly very tough. The Warp Chicken is pretty much out of the picture. Man, he has 74 HP on that chicken. Man, I could not finish him off. Ruination of Cities is going to be going down from Jabba, if not mistaken, although something may have canceled the cast. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I need to kind of play to my speed. I need to kite with the Skinks. I need to pull apart the Chaos Spawn and some of these other troops, and maybe assassinate that chicken. So we charge in with the Feral Dread Saurian, actually going to be cycle charging, although his animation makes him attack a little bit longer than I wanted him to. So from here, the Feral Dread Saurian is going to be pulling back, and he's actually getting staggered pretty well. So I thought I could pull in and pull out. That's what she said. But nonetheless, he's actually getting staggered by like the Chaos Spawn, and you can see he's like having trouble pushing past this bad boy, which is a little bit unfortunate. So we're going to be pulling back here, going into the Chaos Warriors, just trying to get freebies wherever we can. Ruination of Cities does go down and does some okay work against some of these Chaos Infantry, and the Power Fist Croc scores are coming back. So I have a bit of a second wind of all these troops here, and the Power Fist Croc scores should be able to smash up some Chaos Warriors. A little bit hard to say, but yeah, they're doing okay. There's a couple models left. And also Temple Guard coming back in. We have 19 models. Apotheosis or Cold Blood is going to be going down. So Cold Blood basically keeping it from rampaging and also keeping it fighting, which is quite useful. So at this point, it's pretty much throw everything at the walls. Jabba's getting in there, the Dread Saurian's getting in there, the Skinks are shooting their darts, although there are some loose Chaos Warriors back here causing some problems. Shield of the Old Ones is going to be going down as well to keep my troops fighting, but mainly I'm going to be trying to get the the Feral Dread Saurian on the flanks and just pick apart some of the troops that are, freebies essentially. So this one giant is 6.9, the other one is at 6.4, give or take. So we have done some damage since we last checked. The giants were probably in the ballpark of like, what, like, you know, I think one of them was like 8.9 at that point. So we have done some okay damage, but now things get a little bit scary. A lot of our buffering has disappeared, and the Marauder Horsemen are going to be able to actually chase down my skinks here. So you can see the chameleons are going to be getting hunted, and there's not much I can really do about that. I mean, they're okay fighters in their own respect. Chameleons, well, I don't know, in a vacuum, they might be able to beat Marauder Horsemen. I mean, the charge bonus is very helpful, and I think they probably could, all things considered. So realizing I really need the skinks to take out the giants, the Feral Dread Saurian's going to be coming back here, and he's going to be walloping on these guys, doing some really, really good damage, and the Marauder Horsemen are going to be forced back. So the Dread Saurian is lurking now, and it's going to be going after these other Marauder Horsemen, and probably not going to be able to catch them. They do have 90 speed, and they're not poisoned anymore. If I had had the regular Dread Saurian, maybe I could catch them, because he does have the Howdah on his back, which does, you know, cause poison, of course, but in this situation, probably not. So a little bit of fast forwarding, as there is some Benny Hill right here. So basically, I'm like, okay, the Dread Saurian needs to go on Mission Impossible. If we're going to lose this battle, we're going to go down fighting. So the Feral Dread Saurian's going to go over here and try and get the chicken, 74 HP, but he's going to get stuck up on some Chaos Spawn. Oh man, he really just ate those guys. Although he doesn't kill a single one, interestingly enough. So he's a little bit surrounded. Jabba is getting clubbed by 2 giants, which is always fun seeing the fat toad get crumped on by those guys, but that's pretty much going to be it, as the Dread Saurian does get surrounded. So very well played to King. We both brought some very interesting builds. It was a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, the Dread Saurian is just, I think, a huge crutch. He played very well and was able to capitalize, but the giant pick was really good, the double giants. But yeah, just the Feral Dread Saurian is just so haggard. It's just, man, it's so expensive, and like it just loses. I honestly, yeah, it could probably beat a giant in a vacuum, but even still, like with magic kind of punching it and a bunch of things like that, it's so hard to pull off. But a couple things I might keep, like I would probably switch to a Life Salon if I wanted to optimize this particular build. I would get a Life Salon or someone with Blood Statuette of Spider or of Pretzel, and again, be more careful with the Cohort of Waddle. He did a really good job kind of counterpunching those guys. But yeah, obviously, if you're in a very competitive vacuum, I'll show you guys a build that's pretty good against Chaos, but for the most part, very well played to King of the Dead. It was an awesome game. He played extremely well. He had a couple really good final transmutations, and his chicken was just elusive. That KFC was slippery, it was buttered, and it was greasy, and I couldn't catch him, and those giants were just kind of the enemy there, so well played. So on that note, guys, let us go ahead and take a look here at the glorious, oh, it looks like a quick battle sound right now. That's unfortunate. Go to Lizardmen. So firstly, I would go with some sort of a salon, either a light salon or a life salon, and honestly, probably the light salon is going to be a little bit better here, because like getting nets on those high value chaos targets is really juicy. I mean, it depends. If you want to play big dinos, then the Salon Mage of Life is better, of course. But in this case, we're going to go with the light salon. So we get the light salon. As far as spells go, I think Bronos and Nets is going to be all you really need. Blood Statuette and those items, I think, just make them objectively better than Mazdamundi. Mazdamundi's really good on his mount. That's what he really brings to the battlefield. But aside from that, regular salons are better. Now, if you want to go with the Temple Guard front line, I think it's very feasible. And they did quite a good job, considering that they had to carry that freaking Dread Saurian, right? Go something like this. Chameleons are very good as well. Honestly, I might even stretch out to 3 if I'm not getting the Dread Saurian. 3 chameleons with a little bit of support should be able to take out like most big threats, like giants and things like that. They're going to be able to poke down Shaggoths and do quite a bit of work, and you'll be very, very happy with that. So on top of that, we probably want to get some Cold Ones, Spear Riders. They're going to be quite good against some of the big monsters. And on top of that, I mean, Horn Ones are also really good if you want to go that route. It's a little bit hard to say. But Croc Scores, you can get some regular paddle and Croc Scores if you want to, but you do need a little bit more anti-large here. Granted, chameleons are so good against Shaggoths. Like if you could just like drag them through the mud on top of your troops and kind of keep them there, it's going to be very strong. But Cold One Spear Riders are a pretty effective unit. And even like regular salamanders are good, but with the Cold One Spear Riders plus the chameleons, I think it's a little bit overkill and it is a little bit much to protect. So we're going to go something like this for now. And then, yeah, the Baroness Time Warp is going to be very good. And can we cut this? I mean, giving your whole army immune to Psych is quite good, but if we can cut that and get 2 Croc Scores, I feel like this is like a solid Paddlein army. It's going to be pretty good, especially like Baroness Time Warp, Croc Scores, and Temple Guard in the front line. This is something, I don't know if it's the best build, but I've had success with this in the past. So again, well played to my great opponent, King of the Dead. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Lizardmen Dread Saurian versus Chaos Showdown, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.